Joining us on the line now is Sergeant Meghan Lehman of the Troy Police Department. Sergeant Lehman, thank you very much for joining us on the MegaCast.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, we saw the report. We've seen the video. Police officers yesterday right in front of protesters, as we see at event after event after event, and a lot of dialogue and conversation going on. And then at one point, your officers, just like Colin Kaepernick during the national anthem in a football game, got down on one knee. And we understand, everyone knows the symbolism of that. The protesters got down on one knee, and then everything was better. It was an amazing day. Do you have anything you want to add or your thoughts, please?
Well, I think the officers were asked to take a knee, and it was organic. They felt moved to do it, and they are more or less taking a knee to stand, quote unquote, stand up against injustice. So we're pleased this event went well. We were there to keep the protesters safe, and they wanted to engage with us, which we were more than happy to do. It was overall a great event.
Well, it was, and you can never know in this environment how these things are going to go. So I assume when you knew a protest was coming to Troy, you had to completely prepare. Do you want to talk about that to the extent you can?
Sure. It's kind of like our job as police officers every day. We are out there hoping for the best, and usually everything goes great, but we do have to keep in mind the worst could happen too. So we do everything we can to prevent things. We talked to the organizers of this event beforehand, and we're grateful that they were willing to do that and work with us and kind of take our suggestions here and there, which is one of the reasons we were able to do this. And we were able to block off the streets since it was a very large group, so they could get safely from one area of the city to another.
Well, there had to be concern, just anecdotally, there was on my part, not knowing the whole story, that a protest would be happening in such close proximity to one of the region's premier and most significant retail establishments, given the way we've seen retail abused across the country. Was there some initial thought that a retail in your area, Somerset Mall, maybe some of the other retail, would be at risk, or did that not even enter into your thoughts?
Well, Somerset's a high-profile location in this area, so we are, right now we're looking at information that's out there, whether it's just jokes, which was mostly what we found about looting Somerset, but we're looking at every one of those tips or piece of information we run across and vetting them to assess whether there is a legitimate threat against Somerset. So again, we're just preparing for the worst. We're finding that last night was a peaceful protest. Those people that were out there were trying to do good, and they did a fantastic job, but we know there's elements in our community that might want to get out there and do some damage.
All right. Well, I appreciate your thoughts. Sergeant Meghan Lehman joining us in the Troy Police Department on a day after a protest that I believe has caught the attention of the nation. Have you heard from other media outlets, or have you heard that what happened with the knee yesterday and the entire protest has been catching the attention of media outside of southeastern Michigan?
I'm not aware of any national media, but I think it's just important for people to know, because the more kind of publicity that gets, it looks kind of like a stunt. That kind of thing, it actually happens organically. In our case, at least it did. Like, we are out there wanting to talk to these individuals and hear them, and we're definitely not looking for attention. So in that respect. But, if it does get on the national news and it inspires people in some way, we're happy about that too.
Well, and I appreciate the distinction, Sergeant Lehman, that it wasn't a stunt. This wasn't planned. There wasn't a phone call that said, hey, at 2 o'clock, we're going to do this. It's just something that happened organically, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, we're certainly going out there with intention. We want to interact with people as long as they're open to it, and we want to be friendly and approachable, but we're not doing this to get press, to get photo ops. We want people to know we're sincere in wanting to help them.
And it wasn't a perfect day. There was an incident with a protester who was struck by a car. And given the history of of these events, we're always concerned when a car gets where it shouldn't, or worse yet, a truck. And can you tell us what happened there?
Sure. So this was a dynamic thing where we had probably 400 to 500 protesters at one point, and we determined the best thing to do would for us to be to block off the roads. So as they got back to the end of this, which is a couple mile long march, there was still some traffic in the roadway at that time, and they took over an intersection, Coolidge and Big Beaver. At that time, there was a motorist that tried to go through, was stopped by officers, and then tried to go again and hit a protester. At least one or two. We're still investigating this, but he was arrested. That is an assault, and we are looking at formal charges. We'll have more information about that soon, hopefully.
All right. Well, when you get some information, we will follow up with you, and if you have anything you want to let us know, we'll certainly look forward to that. But that's unfortunate, and you don't have any idea, and probably can't talk about right now, whether that was just somebody that was inconvenienced and trying to get through there, or they were intentionally trying to interfere with the protest. Do you have any sense of that, or is it too early to know as your investigation is going on?
So what this person did, clearly not the right thing, driving into some people. Was it a situation where they were, coming out of nowhere and driving 50 miles an hour into protesters? No. But, certainly we arrested them. We're looking at what the charges might be. It's still evolving, and we'll, dig into what his intentions exactly were, and we're looking at video from all different aspects.
Sergeant Meghan Lehman joining us from the Troy Police Department. We've been talking to law enforcement across the suburbs the last couple of days. And, generally those in law enforcement, when we ask them about the situation in Minnesota, they say they're just mad that it's making all police look bad, and that there's training that should have prevented what happened, but they're just mad. Does that characterize the feeling of most of the officers in your department?
Yeah, it's mad and sad. It's horrifying on all levels. We're out here giving a good portion of our lives trying to make our community better and build trust, and that can be struck down and just by some horrible actions of one individual. But, we're also looking at this as an opportunity to look at the whole situation and look at ourselves and, what can we do better? What can we do to absolutely ensure something like this never happens in Troy?
And the suburbs are not insulated. We've seen a majority of the protests going on in Detroit, in Lansing, in Grand Rapids, in our major urban centers. But, I think the incident yesterday made it very clear that you might be in Oakland County, where almost all of our listeners are, but our communities here need to be on guard, need to be vigilant, and any day, regardless of a situation like that, I assume there needs to be dialogue between the police department and the community.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and now is not the time to start that. You need to start that, years ago. We've had an ongoing relationship in our community with all types of different groups, and we're looking to forge some new relationships too. We've had people reach out to us, and we're always looking to work with people and learn from people, and that's where we're at. Like you said, the suburbs are not immune, and we've never thought we were. We have a diverse community, and we have a lot of people that visit our community from outside, and we want to just do what we can to make sure we're serving them the way we need to.
All right, Sergeant Lehman, thank you very much. Good to talk to you again. Let's keep in touch, and as you do work on your long-term outreach, if there's anything we can do, please include us in the conversation.
Will do. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you very much. She is Sergeant Meghan Lehman of the Troy Police Department.